welcome to the Georgia Governor's Mansion. My name is Simon, and I will be your personal tour guide this morning. I hope everyone is as excited about this tour as I am, so please enjoy yourself and feel free to take as many photos as you like. The first thing we want to talk about is this water fountain. Governor Carl Sanders served 1963 to 1967, is responsible for this wonderful Greek revival home being built in 1967. The beautiful fountain in front of the mansion is attributed to the efforts of his wife, accomplished artist Mrs. Betty Foy Sanders. The mansion architect was A. Thomas Bradbury. The mansion property consists of 18 acres and was once owned by a former mayor of Atlanta, Mr. Robert Maddox. The state bought the property in 1964, demolished the existing house, and built the governor's mansion on the site. During the construction of the mansion, a fine arts committee was established to raise private funds to acquire the furnishings in the mansion. The furnishings are considered to be of museum quality and one of the finest federal periods, approximately 1789 to 1823 collections in the United States. It is a permanent collection and belongs to the state of Georgia. The collection does not change from governor's administration to the next. Now, the moment you've all been waiting for. Let's go inside. Guests are typically greeted by the governor and the first lady in this entrance hall. Notice the bronze seal embedded in the floor at the entrance and also in the doorknob. The chandelier is English gilt bronze from 1850. The floor is Tennessee marble. On top of this table is a Royal Sterling silver punch bowl from the battleship USS Georgia. It was presented by Georgia Governor Joseph Terrell to President Theodore Roosevelt on June 10th of 1907. Now, next, the bronze bust by Jean-Antoine Houdin was a French neoclassical sculptor. The cast from the original marble bust of 1778. The bust on your left is Benjamin Franklin. In 1975, the Second Continental Congress established the U.S. Post Office and appointed Franklin as the first Postmaster General. The bust on the right is George Washington, first president of the U.S., served from 1789 to 1797. All right, president's room. Let's go to the library. This bookshelf. Let's go to the wall hanging over George Washington. Okay, the paneling of this bookshelf is cherry due to the First Lady's efforts of all of the books in the mansion have been organized and cataloged using the Dewey Decimal System. The books in this room are mostly about history. The First Lady has designated this room as the President's Room because of the presidential portraits. The wall hanging George Washington is a needlepoint portrait, American, 1875. It is of General Washington at the Battle of Trenton, New Jersey, and is copied from a John Trumbull painting. Trumbull was an American artist during the Revolutionary War and known for his historical paintings. The mirror over the fireplace is American, year 1800. The oval at the top is hand painted and depicts Hermes, messenger of the Greek gods. The fireplace mantle was carved in England around the year 1785. The marble originates from the city of Carrara, Italy, the northernmost tip of modern-day Tuscany, which is central Italy. The fire screen is a George III English needlepoint. It dates back to 1800 and it is in the original form. On the other side of the fireplace is a portrait of James Madison, the fourth president of the United States. from the early 1800s. This card table is a mahogany card table made in Philadelphia around the year 1815. It has legs carved in the shape of fish. It once belonged to the family of George Walton, the fourth governor of Georgia. Walton was also one of Georgia's signers of the Declaration of Independence. On the card table is a replica of a life-size statue of President Jimmy Carter located on the Georgia State Capitol building grounds. Jimmy Carter was governor of Georgia from 1971 to 1975 and 39th president of the United States from 1977 to 1981. Now, this painting over this sofa is of Andrew Jackson, our 7th president. It was painted by Ralph Earl, known as the court painter to President Jackson around the year 1830. On this side table is a replica of a teacup and saucer from President Theodore Roosevelt's White House china. Georgia has a unique connection to Theodore Roosevelt, he was the 26th president of the United States. Historic Bullock Hall, located in Roswell, Georgia, is the childhood home of Roosevelt's mother, Mrs. Martha Mitty Bullock. Over here, we have this large Bible. The Bible is a Holman's Bible and was published in Philadelphia around the year 1879. And the rest of the furniture in this room is from the Federal period mahogany, approximately 1789 to 1823. The giltwood chandelier is English from the late 19th century, and the rug is Persian from the year 1875. Next, we'll move over to the state dining room. The state dining room is used regularly for meetings as well as official state breakfasts, luncheons, and dinners. To your left is the fireplace mantle, carved in England and made of Italian Carrara marble. The marble originates from Carrara, Italy, the northernmost tip of modern-day Tuscany, central Italy, around 1750. The garniture decorative objects on the fireplace mantle are French gilt bronze from the year 1805. Above the fireplace mantle is a convex bullseye mirror made in Ireland around the year 1810. To our right, the mahogany sideboard located along the far wall is attributed to Henry Connelly, Philadelphia cabinet maker during the Federalist period, which is from approximately 1789 to 1823. This is one of the finest pieces of furniture in the collection. There are bronze, classical, mythological dancing figures on the facade. On top of the sideboard piece are two cut glass covered urns, English, from the year 1810. Also on top of the sideboard is a compote bowl shaped fruit dish, and it originates from Dresden, Germany, around the year 1820. And next we'll move over to this table on the wall. This is a Federal marble top serving table, and is attributed to Charles Lemur around the year 1805. He was a French-born cabinet maker who came to America in 1803. On the tabletop is a George III Polarade, a traveling beverage cabinet made of mahogany and pine around the year 1800. Also on the tabletop are two French Empire bronze candle holders, I guess, winged women and candle holders. On the bottom shelf of the table are 5 Chinese porcelain garniture vases. with a predominant red color. And these are from around the 18th century. Above the table is a Federal period mirror, technique of back painting glass mirror. The panel depicts the celebration of peace and the rights of man in the United States around the year 1810. And there was a chest in here. Okay. On top of the chest is a Waterford crystal compote etched with Georgia's state seal. Richards Department Store gave this piece to the mansion for the 250th celebration of founding the Georgia colony at Savannah around 1733 to 1983. Above the chest is an oil painting that is signed and dated by Benjamin West in 1763. The picture is called The Preparation of Sight, or The Stolen Kiss. West was born in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. As a child, Native Americans showed him how to make paint by mixing clay from the riverbank with bear grease in a pot. In 1763, he traveled to England for a visit but never returned to America. Next. This table in the center of the room is mahogany and called an accordion table. It was made by John Seymour. He was a furniture maker during the Federalist period in Boston around 1810. It can be adjusted to seat from 4 to 18 guests. On the table are the gold and silver candelabras and then a bowl with a separate dish or trays to hold food or flowers. They came from the battleship USS Georgia around 1907. The chairs are curly maple English reproductions of the Federal Greek Revival style. There are replicas of the 19th century chairs that are located at the Telfair Academy in Savannah. The chandelier is Waterford from the year 1800. And the carpet is Persian from the first quarter of 20th century. All of the fabrics in the state of down room are made by one of America's most prestigious manufacturers of traditional textiles, Scalamandre, as are a majority of the fabrics in the mansion. They are famous for their work at the White House. First Lady Mrs. Jacqueline Kennedy commissioned the company to help restore the White House furniture in the early 1960s. Subsequent refurbishments at the White House over the years used Scalamandre fabrics. Many of the Georgia mansion's furnishings were recovered or remade during the Sonny Perdue administration from 2002 to 2010 through the efforts of First Lady Mary Perdue. Now we'll go to the state drawing room. Hope everyone's enjoying the tour so far. As we enter the state drawing room, this room is used for greeting official visitors and for photographs with the governor and first lady. We'll head over to the two marble top pier tables along the far wall in front. The two tables are mahogany and they were made around the year 1815. On top of the tables are a pair of Chinese pistol-handled vases, and they were made between 1780 and 1800s. The portraits located above the tables are by painter John Nigel. He is mostly known as a portrait painter in the first half of the 19th century. The portraits are of Naval Lieutenant and Mrs. John Marston in 1830. He served in the Navy during the War of 1812, Mexican and American War, and American Civil War. He was eventually promoted to Rear Admiral before retiring. The two table consoles on the far wall are attributed to Charles Lenoir, French-born cabinet maker who came to America in 1803 from New York around 1815. On top of the table are gilt bronze argon lamps. They were a type of oil lamp invented in 1780 by Armand Argon in France, New York, in 1820. The paintings to the left and right of the fireplace are by Alvin Fisher. He was one of America's pioneers in landscape paintings in 1830. Now, if I could draw your attention to this fireplace. This fireplace mantle is Italian marble. It was carved in England in the year 1790. The two garniture vases on the fireplace mantle are gold gilt bronze from France around the year 1800. And the bronze clock is of George Washington, made in France in the year 1816. The inscription says, "First in war, first in peace, first in the heart of his countrymen." And the mirror over the fireplace, a gilt Federal Pier mirror with Glamis technique of back painting glass panel. It was made in New York around the year 1800. The punch bowl on top of this chest is painted with trading pavilions called hongs, located in Canton, China. The term hongs were given to major business and trading facilities before the establishment of the city of Hong Kong around 1785. The sofas are attributed to Duncan Veith around the year 1815, one of America's leading furniture makers in the 19th century, Federalist period of approximately 1789 to 1823. On either side of the sofas are a pair of gilt bronze caryatid Columbus lamps. The word caryatid originates from Greece and means female statue serving as an architectural support. Single female statue in dark Patna, Italy. The rug is a replica of an original Aubusson tapestry. The city of Aubusson, located in central France, is famous throughout the world for its productions of tapestries and carpets since the 14th century. This replica was made by Lacey Champion Mill of Fairmont, Georgia. Let's head out to the circular staircase. Here we have the circular staircase. The carpet on the stairs was made in Georgia specifically for the governor's mansion. The portrait above the staircase is of Hugh McCall, one of Georgia's earliest historians. He wrote the first official history of Georgia, called The History of Georgia. First volume, 1811. Second volume, 1816. The Daughters of the American Revolution have donated a set of his books to the mansion located in the entry hall bookcase. Now if we go up the staircase, this large golden urn to your left is made of wood and 24-karat gold leaf from the year 1810. attention to this alabaster vase underneath the circular staircase. It was made in England in 1860. It is a replica of the Warwick vase, which was discovered in 1789 to 1790 at Roman Emperor Hadrian's villa in Tivoli, Italy, ruled 117 to 138 AD. Once restored, the vase was eventually given to the English Earl of Warwick, thus called the Warwick vase. The acting mask and motives relate to the Roman god of wine Bacchus. On the vase is a portrait of Benjamin Franklin. He was the American, in this vase, he was the American Commissioner to France from 1778 to 1785, and instrumental in getting France to support America during the Revolutionary War. This is one of the rarest pieces at the mansion, a porcelain vase with 24-karat gold gilt from Paris around 1810. It portrays a hand-painted medallion that was taken from Franklin's life portrait by Carl Van Loo. The chandelier. The chandelier is made from a 20th century American chandelier and a 19th century Italian chandelier, salvaged from the Atlanta Progressive Club's building that was destroyed by fire. There were sufficient pieces left from both to combine them and make this chandelier. There's a crank in the ceiling to lower the chandelier for cleaning. The cross hall. Now we'll draw your attention to the cross hall with framed postcards. The framed postcards show the three governors' mansions in Atlanta. In 1868, the state capital was moved from Milledgeville to Atlanta. At that time, the state purchased the John James residence located at the corner of President Day, Peachtree, and Andrew Young Boulevard for the governor's residence. 17 governors occupied this large Victorian home until it was demolished in 1923. The Westin Peachtree Plaza Hotel is now located at this site. In 1925, the state acquired the large granite home from the estate of Edwin Ansley, located at what is now called the Prado in Ansley Park, Midtown Atlanta. That estate housed 11 governors before it and was vacated and demolished in 1968. Now let's head to the family sitting room. We're now touring inside the family sitting room. The First Lady has transformed this space into the Georgia room. The most unique aspect of this room is the paneling. It is from the butternut tree, a type of hickory. In pioneer days, chips of the butternut tree were used to brew beer. The oil from its nuts went into recipes and ointments. The dye from the inner bark turned clothes brownish yellow. During the Civil War, Confederate soldiers wore homespun uniforms colored with butternut dye. Georgia was named after King George II of England, whose portrait is on the wall to your left. Now as we head over to this portrait, this portrait is of Alexander Hamilton Stevens. He was the 50th governor of the state of Georgia and served from November 4th, 1882 until his death on March 4th, 1883. He also served as vice president of the Confederacy. Below the portrait is a glass sculpture of a magnolia blossom by the well-known Atlanta glass artist Froebel, pronounced like table. Also under the portrait is a lamp from the Springer Opera House in Columbus, Georgia. In addition, there is a history book about the Salzburg colonists originally from present-day Australia who in 1734 sailed to Georgia. They settled up the Savannah River. Now, let's go over to this mirror. On either side of this mirror are a pair of Adam gilt wood ramsheet wall brackets from England around 1800. Sitting on the brackets are a pair of porcelain vases with painted landscapes from 1820 to 1830. The bookshelves. The books in this room are works of literature organized by the Dewey Decimal System. Many are works by Georgia authors. The blue and white Wedgwood plates. There are two blue and white Wedgwood plates in the bookcase. One is of James Edward Oglethorpe, the founder of Georgia. This plate was designed and donated by the Transylvania Club of Sandersville, Georgia. The other plate is of the Medical College of Georgia, now called Augusta University, and is the oldest school of medicine in Georgia, chartered in 1828. Next to the Wedgwood plate is a white plate with a picture of the Jerusalem Lutheran Church. It was built by Salzburgers in New Ebenezer, Georgia, 25 miles northwest of Savannah, and erected 1767 to 1769. It is still being used for church services today. The banjo clock. The banjo clock on the far wall is American made by clockmaker Samuel White in Concord, Massachusetts in 1820. The mahogany working table below the clock is from Boston. And the sewing basket underneath it is original from 1790. The round rosewood table. The round rosewood table was made by John Needles of Baltimore. Needles was a Quaker and very active in the anti-slavery movement during the antebellum period in 1825. On the rosewood table is an Olympic torch. Atlanta hosted the Olympics in 1996. The Olympic torch has a gold band displaying all 20 cities that hosted the Olympics. The torch, designed by Malcolm G. Rear, and featured 22 aluminum reeds, and the reeds intended to represent the number of times the games have been held. This fireplace. The fireplace mantle is Italian white marble and dates back to 1780. The pair of lamps on the mantle are called Austral lamps. These lamps were oil burning and known to produce a very bright light. They are gilt bronze from the year 1830. On the fireplace mantle is a French Empire bronze door clock. The clock is of a young boy seated on a bench with feet resting on a footstool from the year 1813 to 1825. On each side of the fireplace is a pair of eagle-eyes glass paintings. There are the trading pavilions called hongs and located in Canton, China. The hongs were major businesses and trading facilities geared toward the Western world. The term hong was used before the city of Hong Kong was established. When a foreign country was in port doing business, their flag would be raised. Let's go to the family dining room. This is our family dining room, and this room is used for small functions and family meals. Along the wall to the left is a mahogany chest of drawers. It was made in New York and dates back to 1820. Above the chest is a painting called Fruit Still Life by Sylvia Rosen in 1850. Rosen was German born and came to America in 1848. He became one of America's Permanent Still Life Painters. Painting of haystacks. The painting of the haystacks on the far wall is by Martin Heed in 1850. He was associated with the Hudson River School for Landscape Painters. It is one of the most valuable pieces of art here at the Governor's Mansion. This sideboard piece is mahogany and dates back to 1790. This sideboard is the only mansion piece made in Georgia, in Athens, Georgia to be exact. The painting above the sideboard is of the Berkshires, Western Massachusetts. Thomas Doherty was one of the first Americans to specialize in landscape paintings in 1820. He was a member of the Hudson River School that taught landscape painters. And his dining room table is mahogany, double pedestal piece from the Federal period in the 1800s. The chairs are mahogany and are from the Federal period. Notice the carving of the grape and vine motif, Philadelphia style, 1850 to 1820. Jim Williams, an antique dealer in Savannah, Georgia, owned the chairs at one time. If you've read the book or seen the movie Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil, you know what I'm talking about. The chair seats are upholstered in leather. The gilt bronze chandelier is French. And the rug underneath this table is Persian from 1950 to 1975. And ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our tour of the Georgia Governor's Mansion. I hope you all had an enjoyable time, and we look forward to seeing you again.